Hi, I'm Scott Wrighton. I serve as Decatur's City Manager, and every week at this link or this video location you can learn a little bit more about what's going on with your city government. The last 2 months of the calendar year for the City of Decatur anyway are always a really busy time because it's when our staff and our City Council are working on coming up with a budget for the next year. The City of Decatur operates on a fiscal year which is the same as a calendar year, so we have to have our budget approved by the end of December before the new fiscal year begins on January 1st. We can't do what the federal government does and wait to approve a budget until months into the new fiscal year. We can't deficit spend like the federal government can. Our budgets have to be balanced, and the City of Decatur's budgets are always balanced. That doesn't mean that there aren't some tough decisions for the mayor and city council to make as they put together this financial and revenue plan for 2024. There are always more demands for service, more increases in spending for the capital needs of the city than there are funds available to pay for them, or the willingness on the part of taxpayers and fee payers to pay additional money for it. And so that's a balance, and it's a balance that the city council works out. That's their legislative responsibility is to find the right kind of a balance between adjustments and fees and taxes and demands for additional service and how we fund those. And that's the budget process. You can take a look at both the proposed budget as well as the budget that'll be available for public inspection prior to the City Council's public hearing on the budget, which will be December 4. Those documents are available at our website. I want to focus on two items today. The first has to do with a project down in Basin 2 of Lake Decatur. We call it the Marina area of the city. And then touch on a subject that I have touched on before in these videos having to do with a recent mailing by Macon County regarding the equalized assessed value of all property in Macon County, including the City of Decatur. For several years, the City of Decatur has had a memorandum of understanding, an agreement of sorts with the Decatur Park District and with G&H Marine for the development, incrementally, of an improved marina at Basin 2, basically between the Devon and Lost Bridge Road. And if you go by there, you've seen this happening incrementally year over year. We started by adding additional docks on the west side of that basin area, and in 2024 there'll be a more significant capital improvement in this section of the basin, basically between the city-owned pier and where the most recent docks have been installed by G&H Marine. That's the area, sort of a harbor area, which is where the city's boat patrol is, which is where the fueling area is, and some other services that are in that area. And that's where almost all of the capital improvements and changes in where people's docks are located will occur in 2024. There's at least one entire boat club that is being asked to relocate. In addition, the G&H Marine will be increasing their services to eventually take over the retail sale of gas on the lake, and they'll be opening a convenience store in the adjacent building that the city currently rents from the Park District. It's hard to describe all these things, and so we've developed a map, several maps actually, one of which includes some options we'd like your feedback on with regard to the ramps that are there. The ramps that are there to allow you to put your boat in the water are old, and they've deteriorated, and they need to be upgraded in some fashion. We're still trying to decide exactly how that's done, and there's a couple of options. And by the end of this month, by the end of November, the overall plan for that harbor area, as well as some of these options for the replacement of the ramps, will be available with instructions on how you can give us some feedback. So if you're a regular user of the lake, or you're a boat owner, whether you have an existing slip or not, even if you're just a day user of the lake, we'd appreciate your feedback on our improvements as we move forward. Anyone who is a regular visitor to the lake can see that it is gradually transforming the appearance of that section of Basin 2, and it's also allowing for more users of the lake. We want the lake to be more accessible to all the citizens of Decatur. The second thing I wanted to talk about today has to do with the mailer that was sent out by Macon County, which is they're required to do by law every year to inform all real estate owners of changes to the equalized assessed value in their property. The equalized assessed value is supposed to be approximately 1/3 of its fair market value, and it falls to the township governments, not to the city, to update those values periodically, not every year, but periodically. And what I want to clarify is that just because the equalized assessed value goes up doesn't mean that your taxes go up by that amount. And I think that the mailer that the county sent out may have unintentionally given that impression. None of the taxing bodies, none of the local governments that assess property taxes have issued or approved their property tax levies for 2024 yet. The city of Decatur certainly hasn't yet. It's in the process of studying that. But what the county put on the form is an estimated tax. It wasn't a bill, an estimated tax, which assumed that all of those governing bodies would increase their taxes by the same amount as the equalized assessed value, which is not true. Certainly the city of Decatur is not planning on increasing its property taxes by the same amount as the increase in the equalized assessed value. And I suspect that many of the other local governing bodies here in Decatur will also be prudent and try to be conservative and not have to increase it any more than is essential. So it's important to know that that form was just an information to the taxpayers, to the property owners, as to how your equalized assessed value changes, because they have to give you that notice, because if you think that the equalized assessed value is not correct, in other words, that 3 times that is roughly equal to fair market value, the county provides a process through the Board of Appeals for you to suggest that that should be changed. So we've had a lot of people call in the city saying, why is the city increasing our taxes? We're not. That was issued by the county. My values aren't that high? Okay, then talk to the Board of Appeals. And please know that until all those units of government have actually approved their tax levy ordinances, we're not going to be in a position to know how the aggregated property tax levy for all citizens actually comes out. Thanks for tuning in to this week's installment.